Soccer 605, we're here with Jennifer Fickett of the USU Soccer Region 2 Administrative Office. Thanks for coming to South Dakota for the AGM.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm glad Dawn invited me. I have, since being here as the new regional administrator since the end of April, this is now my 13th of 14 state visits.
Oh, wow. So you're getting to everybody.
Yes, that is the goal.
So I know you just sat in on the competitive committee open forum, and I saw that ODP came up and there was some discussion there. What's happening with ODP in the region now?
We actually just had our annual fall meeting this past weekend in Appleton, Wisconsin, and we passed or moved on with what our format was going to be for 2015. However, discussions have come up as to what really is the mission and the vision and the goal of ODP, and how has it changed as the game of soccer has evolved. We have new competitors, we're outpricing ourselves in the market. So looking at what really is that final caveat, an opportunity for players, and looking at possibly just revamping ODP as we know it, not the state programming, but how we support and assist and offer programs at the regional level, and then where can they go beyond region, whether it's national team, whether it's MLS, college, and things like that.
Well, there have been a lot of changes in the higher level competitive youth soccer world in the last 5-6 years. The advent of the developmental academy for boys, another league for girls. That does require a relooking at how things are done, doesn't it?
Absolutely does, which is why I think we're at a crossroads. And I think part of the reason for the position at the regional office, not to take away, but programs like MRL and regional championships, the feedback I've gotten from our state visits, those are great programs, but it's the ODP and the President's Cup that we need to really focus on and figure out, are we really reaching our membership and offering the products and services that they're looking for?
Yeah. Well, and then the other issue that comes up frequently, and it's not competitive related directly but indirectly, is the recreational player. There's been a renewed sense of urgency and importance of going back and focusing on the recreational player here in South Dakota. What's happening on the regional level from that perspective?
I think that's going to be new. Last week we did reappoint our committee chair people. Hugh Orlitz from Illinois will still continue to head that for the next year. He is planning on having a meeting sometime in 2015. And actually, to be honest, recreation is one of my favorites. So I'm hoping that with some discussion with states and the addition of my role, that we can start generating more interest in that other population, which obviously is a bigger base than the competitive. What can we do for Cole's American Cup? Is there another avenue or another tiered program, even maybe if it's, we talked about tiering, we've got regional championships, we've got President's Cup. Maybe there's something regionally we can do, below that for the rec player, or sub-regionally. So, Region 2 has always been known as a progressive region, and I think that's kind of what we're looking for. It's definitely going to be short, long-range planning, strategic planning, and things like that. But I think in the next year or two, you'll definitely see some enhancements to our regional programming, as well as whatever the regional office can do to help support states like South Dakota.
Well, and obviously states like South Dakota, the smaller states, not only in the region but nationally in USU Soccer, have some unique issues, but everyone across the country, with economic changes that have happened in the last 10 years, and with the growth of a lot of other sports, there's a lot more competition for getting those players involved. What have you seen happening across the region in terms of numbers of players? Are we seeing a stabilization yet?
I'm not exactly sure I can answer that. I'm not sure on the numbers, and I haven't looked at the recent numbers at the national office.
And it is kind of new after we're in a new season here.
It is. I don't know. I think it depends on competitors, because you hear, our competitors are, taking, or after going to competitors, they come back because they realize what the services were. And I think that's probably a big key to what the regional office can bridge that gap between the national office and the states. And what is the value? And then we talked about that today in the competitive meeting. What is the value and what do we want? And how can we help educate what that, I'm making up a number, that $11.50 membership fee pays for that recreational player?
Yeah. Added value is always important, and perceived value. Now, going back to adding value and what you can do, for ODP, we talked about that briefly earlier, for states like South Dakota and Nebraska and North Dakota and Iowa and the smaller areas, we don't have the big clubs, the super clubs in our states that are feeding into the academy opportunities. So ODP is really an important aspect for these states, isn't it?
It is. And I think with the 2015 format that we will be unveiling to the rest of the states, the technical directors, including Steve, have had a glimpse of that. We're looking at that holdover ID camp as a little bit different. We've been working with Ian Barker, regional boys head coach, and Peter McGahey, who's the new regional girls head coach. And what we're looking at for the ID camp is to put ownership and empower the technical directors. So instead of always having X amount of players like South Dakota, know that if they send a team of 18, the likelihood of them having 18 players selected, no disrespect to them, they might get one or two. So there's going to be like a matrix put in place where Steve will be able to be guaranteed X amount of players to say, Ian, Peter, these are the players that are going directly into ID camp and don't have to necessarily participate in the showcase.
Okay. Sounds like some interesting changes. We're looking forward to seeing that new matrix. Well, thanks so much for taking time with us at Soccer 605, and again, thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you.